124 waving.
124, I hear you, man. Yeah, Skip's still rolling. Still doing this thing, man. I get lucky every once in a while and get up there. You know what I mean? 333 Baltimore. Waving. Standing.
Yeah, 333 Baltimore, man. I've got to say, you got some smooth sounding audio over here, and like I said, I'm taking a video gate of it, and I'll post it up there on the YouTube channel. It's going to be AR124 radio on YouTube, and I'm using an SDR receiving at about 13 kilohertz wide, so I'll get this recorded and get it up there, and you can take a look at it.
You said it was AR radio? Is that what you said? Or HDR radio?
It is AR, as in Alpha Romeo, AR124 radio.
Alright, Roger. Right now, let's see if I can get the pool up here, right?
333, you're still sounding good on me, Goatroper out here. I'm PH's neighbor.
Yeah, I found it. We'll go and subscribe, and I'll be waiting for it to be uploaded there. I appreciate it.
Yeah, there's a lot of I've got a couple of gates out there already. They're all pretty short, just because I know people don't want to have to scroll through an hour-long video just to find their their interaction there. So, and there's a couple of good hi-fi stations on there, and I'm trying to work to build it up a little bit. But I'll have this one posted here pretty soon.
Yeah, Roger. Yeah, I do the same thing. I got a couple of videos on mine here and there. I haven't done it in a while. And on there, I used to use the same program you're using now for SDR. Now I'm using SDR Uno. But yeah, I like that program too, man. You get that program dialed in right, what you're using for SDR receive. It's fantastic once you get it dialed in right, man.
Yeah, to be honest, I actually prefer this one more than SDR Uno, because I have both of them. But I actually kind of like the HD SDR better, because I just hate dealing with all the windows on the SDR Uno.
Well, it seems like to me what I have found out is the SDR Uno has better rejection from, you know, anybody local, any kind of bleed over. It rejects that really, really well. But I think the SDR, HD SDR sounds better. It just sounds better. Uno, like I said, Uno has a lot of features and its rejection's great. But the SDR, HD SDR, just sounds a little better. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I get what you're saying there. Yeah, and I don't know what it is. I kind of see what you're saying with the sound, because I kind of prefer the sound out of the HD SDR better than SDR Uno. But also, I can't use all the features on SDR Uno because I'm only using one of those Noelec Any SDR dongles, so I don't actually have the RSP1 or RSP2 or whatever it is. So I can't utilize all the features in the software, because it's kind of like a experimental or demo type of thing. At least the version that I have to run with that dongle.
Yeah, Roger. Well, I got the proprietary SDR with the Uno. I've had a hack RF. I've had the small dongles. I've had all of it. But once you get that software and you match it up with one of their better SDR units, the rejection is hard to beat. It's just fantastic. Like, I was getting all kind of really crazy bleed over, because I got a couple stations that are real close to me. Then it knocks them right down. That's the thing about the Uno. Fantastic. It just knocks that shit, excuse my language, it knocks it right down. I don't get no bleed over problems. The Smart SDR, like I said, it just sounds better. So, you know, it's one of those things. And the noise floor seems to be a little better.
Yeah, whoops, I think I'm keying with Goatroper.
Goatroper over here.
Yeah, I thought about getting the RSP, the proprietary unit. I can't even remember the name of it off the top of my head, but the RSP one. I've thought about getting one of those, but I wanted to get this to work because I had all kinds of crap going on here with trying to get this to work. Because if you watch the videos, the SDR picks up my transmitted audio as well as who I'm receiving. So I've got to switch this dongle in and out of the antenna because I'm sharing the same antenna on the transmitter and the receiver. So I kept getting overload and all kinds of stuff, but I finally got my antenna switches right, and I finally got it working. So probably in the near future, or in the future, I might invest in a little bit better SDR unit, just because this one is kind of the cheaper end, and I know it doesn't work as well as some of the other ones. So that's probably coming.
Mine worked out pretty well.
Yeah, I was using the MFJ automatic antenna switch for a while. I still have it, but then I switched over to I can't remember the name. It's escaping me for the moment. The company's out of Europe somewhere. I can't remember what it was. And that switch works a little better. It's a little faster. It's a little more definite of a switch. So there's less carryover signal back to the SDR, so it's not getting hit as hard. It completely cuts it off. The MFJ works fine, but you gotta watch it, you know. And of course, I use that switch before it hits any of my amps, obviously.
333.
Go ahead, Goatroper. 333, Goatroper's hollering at you.
Hey, 333.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, that mighty fine junk. Yeah, you gotta watch it. Sometimes you have to take it apart and solder cold solder joints. At least that's been my experience over here. I've got a 4-position MFJ 1704 switch box. I had to take it apart and solder half of it back together.
Yeah, Roger. I got the what is it?
Hello, cowboy. Let's go up to 25.
It's the SDR automatic switch box. I've got the 1848 or something. I can't remember. I've got it in front of me. What I was having the problem with is not necessarily losing connection, but having too much RF coming back into my SDR. When I first got it, I had a RF1, and it kind of damaged the front end of that unit a little bit. Now, I never had no problems with the SDR Smart, but with the Hack RF1, I had an issue. But now that I switched over, I don't have any issues at all. It doesn't hit. It doesn't come back to the SDR strong at all. Now, of course, I'm picking myself up because I'm so close, but it's not overbearing like it used to be. But yeah, I've heard some other people mess with those MFJs to get them right. They had to do a couple things, but they got them right. They're supposed to be coming out with a new one. It's supposed to be fixing all the issues.
Well, I don't have a hi-fi setup. I don't have an SDR. I do on my ICOM 7300, I guess, but I don't have on this 2995. It's not direct inject. It's just a straight stock radio, which I'm sure you can tell. But you sound really good on my receive.
Okay, I appreciate it. That's right. I got a 2995, highly modified. And I'm running a lot of audio rack gear before it gets there. Part of it, well, actually most of it is the microphone I'm going through. The microphone is just superb. That helps out a lot. That does everything, really. Everything else after that is just extras. But I use the radio just for transmission. I don't use it for receive because the SDR receivers are just so much better. As you probably realize from your ICOM, they're just better. And so when I unkey, up on my monitor, what's going on, and I hear everybody through my screen. And I got the audio going back into a mixer and go to my headphones. And then my transmit is in a completely different system.
Copy that. Yeah, I'm running an equalizer and a boom mic into the front of the 2995. I guess I could direct inject it easy enough, but I haven't done it yet. But that's a lot of work. You gotta do a lot of changing and a lot of tweaking once you do that.
Yeah, Roger. I got mine. Mine's a AC mod unit, so mine just ordered mine with everything built in it. It's not the best system out there, but I didn't have to do it myself. It came that way. I ordered the radio, everything came the way I needed it and the way I ordered it, so it just made it easier. That's why I went that direction, because I got a motor mouth modulator. I just never hooked it up yet. but this is basically the same thing. It's basically a clone of that, but I didn't have to install it. The guy did it for me, so it made it easier.
Well, yeah, the AC mod, the one thing that AC mod expounded on is that his is a little bit better because he has the ESSB function, so you don't lose your sideband on a sideband radio.
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
So you're using an AC mod, is that right?
Yes, it's an AC mod. It took me a little bit to get the audio right. It wants to sound muddy. If you don't have it right, you got to kind of, if you look at an EQ, if you know anything about EQs and all, you got to kind of take down in between 200 all the way up to 400. You kind of got to lower that level, because if you don't, it gets muddy. So that's the only issue I've seen with the AC mod. It could just be me, but I've noticed it with other people too when I've helped them EQ their AC mod. You got to turn that low mid-range or that high-low level down. If not, it gets muddy.
Yeah, I know exactly what you mean. I have struggled with that myself, but I don't have a graphic EQ, so I'm kind of having to just deal with what I've got. But I'm just running a direct injected Cobra 148 as the transmitter, and just a Xenix 802 Behringer mixer going into a sonic exciter by Behringer, and then it goes into a compressor limiter, and that's the only three things that I've got in the audio chain.
Yeah, Roger. Yeah, I still have it. I have a 29 that's direct injected. I did myself. Everybody said it sounded pretty good. I like that. I think this sounds just a little better because I can just get a little bit more of a bandwidth in there. But I'm going into a microphone preamp, Behringer preamp, and then running into a Officer Curve Pro. What is it? The 2496, and that's got the limiter and exciter and everything built into it. That goes back into my mixer, and then that on the right side, and on the left side, I got it all going back into the equalizer to compress it, and then it goes to the radio. I kind of went through two chains, so I didn't max out my highs too much, so it doesn't get overmodulated. Kind of keeps the audio compressed a little bit, so it doesn't get too crazy when I get too close to the mic or speak too loud. It doesn't jump up too much.
Yeah, that's kind of what I did in the end. I think I could do a little bit better if I had a little bit wider EQ, but all I'm using for EQ is what's on the mixer board, which is a 3-band, and it's only the 16 kilohertz, and what is it? 2.5 and 60 hertz. So that's pretty limited, and I had to really just kind of fiddle around with it to make it work halfway decent. But yeah, and then I'm using the Behringer compressor limiter at the very end of the chain just to kind of tame everything down so it doesn't overshoot too bad.
Yeah, that's the last thing that I had figured out, because I was compressing it and it was doing fine, but then like when I play like a Watergate, like it's still choppy. But let me play this back to you. Let me see how this sounds.
I think I could do a little bit better if I had a little bit wider. But all I'm using for EQ is on the mixer board, which is a 3-band.
So when I play my Watergates back, that's really where I was having the issue, because it was just getting crazy. And here, I got a new system with my Watergates. I haven't got it down 100% yet, but it's getting there. But I was really, when I would play my Watergates back, when I would listen back through somebody else's video gate, my Watergates were just a little bit too crazy. That's the best way I could put it. So that's another reason why I did it, to try to get that envelope a little bit tighter.
Yeah, I noticed that it was a little bit, it was almost like picking up too much of the lows and everything, and that might be on my end. But I've got a gate of you just here right at the moment, and you sound really good on my end.
It's getting there, but I was really, when I would play my water gates back, and when I would listen back through somebody else's video gate, my water gates were just a little bit too crazy. That's the best way I could put it. So that's another reason why I did it, to try to get that envelope a little bit tighter.
Yeah, so you're like hammering in here.
Tell me what.
Yeah, Roger, I appreciate it.
Tell me, go ahead.
Let me play back my gate of my gate. The water gate's back. And when I would listen back through somebody else's video gate, my water gate. It doesn't sound bad. That's pretty good. The water gate's back. And when I would listen back through somebody else's. Yeah, so I try to keep a little bit of mid-range in there. And I could probably turn the mid-range down a little bit, but the reason I do that is for everybody else's radio that isn't wide, everybody ain't using SDR. You know, for people that are just using a regular radio, I try to keep the mid-range there a little bit so they can still hear me, because if I turn it down too much, it would sound muddy to them. So I'm trying to keep it so everybody can hear it, man. But I appreciate that gate.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I said, it sounds really good over here. I don't know, do I have a little bit too much of the lows on my end? Because at least it sounded like it to me on the gate.
7300, and I won't hear the highs like I will on the 7300, but I'm just curious how much do I need to change to get mine to sound like yours, besides going to AC mod?
If you're going through the front of the radio is going to limit the audio bandwidth. It's just going to do that. It's the design of the radios. It's going to limit it. I mean, you can do a lot with it. I got a friend of mine that lives not too far from me, Pizza Man, who does a great job going through the front of his radio. He's really done a great job on it. And he sounds pretty good going through the front of his radio, but you still have that audio and the signal bandwidth limited. So just try to get everything in there, especially when you go high. You tend to drop your low, and if you go too low, you tend to drop your high in that situation. You either sound too bright or too muddy. It's kind of difficult to get in there in the middle, but you can get there. It just takes, it takes some patience.
Yeah, this equalizer is set up for the 7300 actually, and I go through the ACC port on it, so I bypass the front of the radio. And but I've heard it, and I've heard my wife on it. It sounds pretty fair.
It sounds fine. I mean, it's nice and clean. There's no doubt. I know I got a lot of stuff going on. I got, a whole bunch of audio stuff going on. So mine's a little out there. But, I mean, you sound better than 99% of the people out there, so.
Oh, that's cool. But I'm kind of like the millionaire that wants to be in the 1%.
I'm not a millionaire. Hold on, let me play this back.
Cool. I'm kind of like the millionaire that wants to be in the 1%.
1, 2.
I'm definitely not in the 1%.
Hey, 333. I just got to ask you, what program are you using to record, or how do you have your record set up?
All right. Well, there's two different ways I do my gates. The one I was using for a while that works fantastic, and I got my friend on it. I got him using it too. He used a different mix. He used a different mixer, but it's the same company. The first one I used to use was a Zoom Live Track 12. It's got a built-in SD card with a built-in recorder, and I would just hit record and then hit play and play it back. Now I got it. I'm into music too, so now I got the audio going into a different. It's basically a drum machine sampler, and I got it running into that. This is not why I'm using it. I'm using it for music, but I said, why I got it all hooked up, I might as well try to use it and see how it sounds. And that's what I'm using now for my playbacks now, just because it's just a little bit cleaner, just a little, because the way it records is just a little bit more of a higher bit rate. But it's called an MPC. I don't know if you ever heard of them, but that's a Akai MPC. But it's really built for music. It's not built for this. But since I had it all together, I said, what the hell, I'll just cut it.